Hello everyone, welcome to Downtown Tailoring. In today's video we are gonna make a bow tie, but it's not just that. I'm gonna take the opportunity to give you a little details on how to make your job way nicer. So let's go! You can download the pattern that is linked on the description box below and make sure to print it twice. When you have your copy, you have to confirm the 1-inch square because sometimes the set of the printer are a little bit off. And then you are going to cut the 3 pieces. You are not going to use the smaller rectangle in one of the patterns. So to assemble is pretty easy. You are just going to join the number 1 with the number 1 with a tape. If you really want to be sure that your pieces are perfectly aligned, what you can do is to find the center line in each of those patterns. For that, you just have to find the center point at the edges, and then you can make a line with the ruler. And then when you join the 2 pieces, you are going to use the ruler just to be sure that everything is perfectly aligned. But honestly, because we are going to cut that pattern bias, this is not like a huge deal, but it's better job, of course. Now I have my material, and you know the simple way to get the bias right away is to fold the fabric by the corner, and just with that you are making sure that you just created a 45-degree angle. Then I'm gonna cut 2 pieces of each pattern. So in total we are gonna have 4. 2 a little bit longer and 2 a little bit shorter. This material, in fact, is a very heavy wax cotton, so it's kind of very strong. It's not like a regular cotton or silk. Therefore, mostly because of the wax, instead of using interfacing on all pieces, we are just going to use in 2 pieces, like a 1 for each one. So here you go, I have my pattern cut. I in fact did 4 ties of those, and I prepare a little bit the fabric to make it bias. We have talked about that in other videos. And then I'm going to glue the interfacing in just one of them. I kind of try to choose the one that looks the best, but in fact it's not really a big deal. Next, I'm going to my sewing machine to sew those pieces together, and I'm gonna use a thick thread to make my corners. So I'm gonna start sewing from the center towards the corner, and I'm going to sew just right before the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then I'm gonna insert my thread, and I'm gonna pull it very well towards the back, and I'm gonna make 1 stitch. Pivot my material, insert the second end, and pull it everything in. I like to use the tweezers to help me with that. And when I have everything secure, then I will keep sewing. Please remember that this pattern has already a seam allowance of 1/4 inch included. When I finish the first part, then I'm gonna go to the second part. I will turn my bow ties, and then I will start and doing the same, starting as well from the top towards the bottom. This is what you would call directional sewing, and you do that way so you sew to the same direction, and that way it doesn't create wrinkles or anything. The final job is way better. And then I'm gonna cut a little bit, but I really don't need too much. At the corners, make sure to not cut the thread you already put in, you know, that's important. And where the curve is very important that you cut it this way. Then my next step is to iron it a little bit, and I'm gonna use this stick that is so helpful. I have in all sizes. A rounded wooden stick probably is a little better, but mine is a little bit too big. And I'm gonna iron open the seam allowance, and that will give to my ties a way nicer finish. Now I can turn my ties, and I'm just doing it, you know, just the regular way, because really this one is not that big or that difficult, and I have it. Look at the seams, they look great, right? then I open a little bit the seams of the curves, and the satisfying part, pulling out the corners. 3. I'm gonna keep ironing my tie very well and try to iron like to the grain. That will be like a 45 degrees. You know, don't try to go too up and down. Better just like a little bit, 45, but not big deal. And here you go, that's my tie. You see how it looks? It looks really good. I'm gonna do the same to the other. And something that I like to do as well is to put my stick and iron it with the stick in. That way I make sure that everything is nice and flat. Sometimes you don't really need to do so many steps, but you know, there are people like me that with the clear instructions will work a little bit better, and this is the result. So when you are sure that your corners are all good, you can cut one thread and pull the other one. If you feel like the corners are not good still, you can kind of stretch it out inside and it will be all okay. Now is the time to put the hardware. So we have 3 pieces, and I'm going to use a narrower foot to do my job. I'm cutting a little bit. This pattern, let me tell you that this pattern is for the biggest tie, but it's okay because it can be made smaller with this mechanism. But if you are sure that you are working for a smaller person, you can cut about 3/4 inch on each side of the pattern. And this is my first part, and then the second one is a little bit more tricky, but it's pretty easy. You will insert your first part through the buckle, and then you are going to insert the hook, and then you are going back to that buckle. I make sure to have the buckle a little bit, loosen up so I can work a little easier, and then I'm going to insert in the same way I did before, like twice. And when I pull it back and I have this, it looks like an 8. Now I can just stitch it and it's all good and nice. And you can play a little bit of the size, you really don't know what the final size will be, but you just leave it like, kind of like that. And it's all good. This is my tie. They are done. And now the difficult part for me is to tie it, but it's not really that difficult. Let me do it for you so you can see really the final look. And this is how it looks. It looks fantastic. Have you been in the situation like somebody say, oh, can you make a tie? And you say, oh, well, that would be very easy. But at the end, if you don't really have the right measurements or anything, well, now you will be all good. So if you find this video useful, please give us a like and don't forget to subscribe, share, comment. Bye!